Welcome to Veterans Voice, where we highlight programs and services for our veterans. I'm James Mabel. Veterans experience stresses during their service that may have an impact on their lives once they enter lives into the civilian world. So today we're joined by Chris Stevens, Veterans Treatment Court Coordinator, and Edward Howard, Military Veterans Peer Network Coordinator. Welcome to you both.
We're glad to be here.
Excellent. So tell us, what does VTC or Veterans Treatment Court, what do you all do? What does that mean?
The Veterans Treatment Court is it's a unique court. It models the regular court in appearances. However, the VTC requires regular court appearance by the participants, as well as mandatory attendance to various treatment sessions and frequent and random drug testing. This program offers certain benefits and advantages for the veterans. Mainly, it keeps them out of jail. Instead of just putting an offender in jail, it gets them the treatment that they need. Veterans often respond very favorably to the structured environment, given their past experiences in the military and the armed services. However, a few will struggle, and this is exactly the ones who the VTC is there for the most. Without the structure, veterans often reoffend and may remain in the criminal justice system. The VTC is there to ensure that they meet their obligations to both the court, community, and themselves, all through the camaraderie among those who have served. So it's a great program. It's a one-stop shop. It links the veterans to both the VA programs and assistance and treatment, along with other various benefits and services that they've earned, and other assistance that they may not have even known they qualified for.
Excellent. Sounds like it's very compassionate, and it takes each case one by one as it provides the services and resources for our veterans. Can you tell us about the Military Veterans Peer Network Coordinator? The Military Veterans Peer Network. Sorry about that.
Yes, absolutely. So the Military Veteran Peer Network, there's about 51 of us throughout the surrounding counties in Texas. We provide peer support. We provide services for justice-involved veterans. We have suicide prevention and awareness trainings. We have volunteer and community service opportunities. And we do community resource referrals through various organizations throughout Texas and Houston. We work closely with Combined Arms. So a lot of our veterans that come out and they're moving into the Houston area, they look a number up, and we're happy to help them with any type of resources that they need. We also do a lot of military cultural competency trainings. We have our ASK trainings that we do. We do various trainings. We like to call ourselves the Swiss Army knife of the veteran community, because we are in a little bit of everything. So if any veteran, service member, veteran, or family member ever need anything, if we don't have the answer, we'll definitely go out there and find it for them.
Excellent. And speaking of a peer network, I believe you all have a mentor program. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
And can you share a little bit about the mentor program?
Our mentor program is, again, with the Veterans Treatment Court. Our mentors are all volunteers from various aspects of the community. Almost all of them are all prior military or military related. Family members, friends. And these mentors, they're there for the veterans that are going through the VTC. Just give them that guiding light, someone there to talk to, someone to listen, be a friend, help them in any way that they may need. The biggest contribution they have is just being there to listen.
And I believe you all have an upcoming social event to connect mentors or those that are part of the peer network.
We do. On June 22nd from 6 to 7 at the Cottonwood on North Shepherd Drive, we're having a mentor social. Here we're going to be discussing and introducing our prior mentors to some of our new mentors who are just starting. We're going to discuss any changes, updates that may need, the program may need. And anyone is more than welcome to come join us and see if it's something that they may be interested in.
Those who are interested in attending the upcoming social, do they need to register online or just show up? Can you tell us about that process?
They can register online. Needless to say, it's free. It is on Eventbrite. And if you do a quick search on there, you can find it. Other than that, no, they don't need to register. They can just show up. We'd be more than happy to have anyone.
Excellent. And just backing up for a minute, can you tell us about the Mental Health America of Greater Houston? Tell us in general about your organization and the mission.
Edward.
So Mental Health America Greater Houston, we're broken up into, they have the School of Behavioral Health that does a lot of trainings in the school district. They have the integrated healthcare that comes up with new ways of trainings for healthcare, trying to find innovative ways of switching things up. Also, on our website, we have a mental health screening tab that you can open up. And this is for anybody that, you know, may be going through some type of stress or anxiety. They can take their screening and figure out, you know, what type of resources they may need. And we have resource links and all types of great information on that on the website. So please, if you have anybody that you have that may be going through some type of mental health situation, please refer them to our site, and they'll have plenty of resources and contact information to reach out to.
And thank you for that, Edward. And lastly, you all have trainings for our veterans. Can you share a little bit about the trainings that you offer?
Yes. So we have our military cultural competency training, which is just our basic training, which allows all of our mentors take this training to become volunteers in our program. Just gives them that first knowledge of the stress, the depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, different things that military members go through once they are transitioned out of the military. We have our AS training, which is a gatekeeper training, which is our suicide prevention training that we have a lot of our participants go through. We teach that also to some of the school districts, some students in University of Houston, various agencies that require that training. We have other justice involved trainings, which are groundwork trainings that we're working on to just we're trying to reduce the recidivism rate, get these veterans that, you know, have found those bumps in the road and find those intersection points of like, how long does it take for a veteran, you know, to reach out to those services once they transition out of the military, and try to intersect them before they make those pivotal mistakes or, you know, those crisis situations where we go into isolation. Because as veterans, we're so used to, as military members, we're so used to being like more of like, we know how to get from A to B. You know, we join the military, we have people that tell us what to do. And then once we get out of the military, we have that freedom again. And it's hard to, you know, for some of us to make that transition, to know what to do with your time. And when plan A and plan B don't work, you know, we're trying to find that plan C. So what we want to do is make sure we link everybody up with a mentor, or with myself, or with Chris, or with anybody in the military community that have so many service organizations that do so many great things, that want to help all of our veterans make sure that they don't go get into the justice involved situation, or when they're having PTSD situations or different things that happen in their lives, that there is somebody out there that will jump in that hole with them and try to and pull them out of it, you know. So that's what we're here for.
Wow, you really kind of summed it up well, and I really appreciate you and Chris being on the show, because what your organization does, it really helps veterans transition. Because I can understand from being a veteran myself how hard it is to transition, to know who to talk to about mental health, finances, and other just services and resources needed when you transition from the military. It can be overwhelming. So thank you all very much for coming on the show and discussing Mental Health America of Greater Houston.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
After the break, we'll learn how veterans build with sand.
For more than a year, we have kept you informed with more than 500 remote episodes. But now we're back, bigger and better, with more news and more guests. Join us live every weekday at 10 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, and on HCC TV at noon and 5 p.m. You can watch from anywhere. We go where you go.
Welcome back to Veterans Voice. In my role as Director of Career and Job Placement Services, I meet companies looking for opportunities to hire veterans. Often. So Black Mountain Sand may sound like a location in the latest installment of the Star Wars saga, but its mission is more down to earth. So we have Cliff Bland, who's going to talk to us a little bit about Black Mountain Sand and what it is that they do in West Texas.
Good afternoon, James. Thank you for having me here. So basically at Black Mountain Sand, we're an in-basin frac sand provider. We produce 17 million annual tons of mine capacity of 40 to 70 split and plus 100 mesh. So basically that grain of salt, we get the best, not salt, but sand. We get the best grain of sand. We are the premier in-basin frac and sand provider in the premium Eagle Ford and Mid-Con regions of Texas. We have 3 different mines. Both our mining locations, we have 2 in Kermit, Texas. One is called Vest and one is called El Dorado. For those that don't know, Kermit, Texas is right next to Odessa, Texas. And we also have one other mine location down in South Texas, not far from San Antonio, within Poteet, Texas. And the name of that mine location is Bigfoot. We're #1 in the industry. We deliver an average of load in time, meaning mine to gate, meaning we have a truck pull up, we fill it up with sand and we get it out of there. We're looking at 10 minutes or less. That's what we really pride ourselves on the production, making it happen, getting those trucks in and getting them to those oil fields that need the sand for the fracking.
Wow, it sounds like quite an operation, Cliff.
A little bit, yes, a little bit.
Well, tell us about the open positions that you have available at Black Mountain Sand.
Okay, we have several positions. A lot of them are focusing in our South Texas region at the Bigfoot location down in Poteet. You're looking at wet and dry plant operator, loadout operator, maintenance technician, and quality control engineer. Also in our West Texas region, we're looking for maintenance technicians, health and safety environment technicians as well.
And I might add that Black Mountain Sand is going to be at HCC here very soon on Monday, June 13th. And information has been sent to veterans about the opportunity to actually interview with Cliff about those opportunities available at Black Mountain Sand. Now, Cliff, to your civilian side, you've served in the military, correct?
Correct. I served in the world's greatest United States Navy.
So tell us a little bit about your time serving in the Navy.
Okay, no problem. I served from 2001 of May until October the 5th, 2012. I participated in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. Did that for 5 years. I was on an aircraft carrier, the USS John F. Kennedy, from 2001 through 2005, where I launched and recovered aircraft on an aircraft carrier. I decided to go to Arkansas for shore duty, and I ended up being a recruiter in Arkansas. So I covered all of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, which is next to the Mississippi Delta. Did that for a while. Then the Navy recognized that I was a good recruiter, so they recruited me to be a career recruiter. That's when I lost all my hair. And I did that for a long time, man. I did that for a very long time, putting young men and women in the United States Navy.
Excellent. Thank you for your service.
No problem. Appreciate your service too, James.
Rah.
Yeah.
So now from a career development standpoint, obviously you're wanting to recruit and hire veterans and candidates in general. Can you tell us some things that they could do to be successful in the interview?
Oh yeah, no problem at all. In my past life, I worked with fellow veterans with their resumes and also interviewing. I think the biggest thing is to have confidence. Know your job, know exactly what you applied for, and have confidence in yourself. Because in all actuality, that resume is really a key to the door. If you have your resume, you get the key to the door. You have to have confidence within yourself to sell yourself, to these companies, and just to show them, you're the right candidate. In the past, I've came across individuals who was just terrified of speaking in public. But in their past life in the military, these are the same individuals that can give you directions to go to point A, B, and C. So one of my little nuggets I used to drop to young men and women is that, hey, if you're uncomfortable speaking to individuals, line up, go in your room, line up a party of stuffed animals and have them face you. Stuffed animals do not blink. Talk directly to those stuffed animals. Have a mirror behind them. Build the confidence to sell yourself, to the company. Because at the end of the day, if they see your resume, they're offering you keys to the door. So just to have that confidence, that's the biggest thing.
And I like how you explained that, there may be people who have been leading whole teams in the military, so they're used to giving directives. They're used to obviously public speaking, but when it comes to life outside of the military in the civilian world, it can be a little intimidating of representing yourself.
Exactly.
So we talked about, how best to conduct yourself in an interview. What about at a job fair? What advice, tips do you have for veterans going to job fairs?
Take your time, do research before going to the job fair. I've came across a lot of young men and women, they just show up at the job fair. They don't know what employer's there or what. They're just walking around, looking. Do some investigating on a job fair. If you're interested in 3 or more companies, go ahead and do the background of those companies too. When you show up to a table, at the job fair, the worst thing you could do is say, what do you got? Because obviously a lot of companies are there to hire someone. So, we got an opportunity. So be prepared, be strategic. And once again, confidence, have confidence in yourself and respect of others who's waiting to speak to you as well. So just be mindful.
Cliff, thank you very much for sharing a little bit about your company. And again, thank you for your service.
No, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate it. Big time.
After the break, we'll honor women veterans.
Where's your emergency?
Welcome back to Veterans Voice. June is set aside to honor women veterans. We're joined today by Dr. LaShondra Jones of the City of Houston, Mayor's Office, Office of Veteran and Military Affairs, and Maggie Peterson, founder and CEO of Camp Shield, to learn more about several events taking place this month. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us.
So we'll start with Dr. Jones. Tell us a little of the history of women veterans observances.
Absolutely. First, again, James, thank you for having us today. So for me, Women Veterans Day is like Christmas. Every year, I look forward to Women Veterans Day, looking forward to meeting new women veterans, connecting with some older women veterans. This legislation actually came about in 2017 here in Texas. Texas was one of, I think, 3 states initially that pushed to have legislation that focuses specifically on women veterans. Of course, there was a lot of pushback. but we did what we had to do. We walked the halls of in Austin. We made mock phone banks. We were in kitchens. We were in shelters. We were all over, just asking women veterans to call their legislators to get the legislation passed, so that we can have a day to ourselves that honors and appreciates women veterans and their service and their sacrifice to this country. Not to take away from men, not to take away from the Veterans Day that we celebrate yearly, but to have a day that honors specifically women veterans and the contributions that we've given to the nation's armed forces.
Well, I'm very grateful that that has taken place. You mentioned 2017, that I'm just very grateful that that has happened, that our women veterans get the recognition that they deserve from our military. So we're going to move on to one of the exhibits that's taking place soon, The Color of Freedom. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So the Women's Memorial Museum in DC has a national exhibit that they take around the country just to highlight the sacrifices of women of color who have served. So their mission is to show the inclusion and diversity, and to make sure that people understand that women of color have served in the armed forces as well. And actually recently, 688 Battalion, and those women are in their 90s, and actually talked to the staff member at WMSA, the Women's Museum today, and the oldest one, 104 years old, actually just passed a couple of weeks ago. But there's legislation that was passed recently to honor these women for their sacrifice of this country back in World War II, when they were working to make sure that all of the servicemen had the mail that was being sent back and forth from the US overseas. And so they're just now getting their just dues from Congress, the Congressional Medal of Freedom, I think it is, to highlight their service. For so many years, they were overlooked. And so this exhibit is actually coming to Houston, and this Friday is going to be the unveiling. It's going to be here for 30 days. But it's going to be unveiled on Friday in honor of Women Veterans Day. And after this, it's going to be taken over to San Antonio to be placed in the airport. So I think that's a great thing to have it in the airport. So people that are coming and going throughout the San Antonio airport will be able to see some of the women that have served in all eras of the U.S. Armed Forces.
So you also have a Women Veterans Expo coming up. Can you share some details about that event?
Absolutely. So I'll talk a little bit about, but then Maggie's going to go into it. So on Sunday, June 12th, the actual day, June 12th, which is the day that is set aside as Texas Women Veterans Day. So the significance of June 12th is in June 12th, 1948, 74 years ago, the Women Armed Services Integration Act was signed by President Truman. And so that was a day that actually etched into history that after our service, or after we go for a year or two, back then they would say, thank you for your service. You can go home now and go back to doing whatever it was that you were doing. But because of that legislation, it made it a permanent part of the military that women can come and serve and stay as long as they want to stay and not have to go home after that 1 or 2 years of service. And of course, there was pushback back then. I think Congress went back and forth for 2 or 3 years until finally some women showed up in DC and said, no, this is very important to us. And so this year marks the 74th anniversary, and we are going to be having an expo. And again, I'll let Maggie go into that basically honors that, but then there's going to be some other things tied into that as well.
So yeah, I can pick up and talk about the event on Sunday. It's the Women Veterans Empowerment Expo, and it is happening on Sunday, June 12th from 8:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. And we are going to have an I Am Remarkable workshop. The theme of this event is really just empowering women and that we are remarkable. And if people are interested in registering or learning more about it, they can go to Eventbrite and they can just search for Women Veteran Empowerment Expo. We will also be having a panel of women veterans that are going to be answering questions about how they got to feel so empowered in their careers post-military and what they're doing in the local community to help their fellow sisters.
Thank you so much, Maggie. And I want to make sure everyone is aware of Camp Shield and its mission. Can you share some details about Camp Shield?
Sure. Camp Shield is a women veteran organization that I founded almost 5 years ago. And our mission is empowering women veterans. And we do that through monthly peer support groups. We have workshops every other month. One month it'll be fun. The next month it'll be something educational. And we have online mastermind book clubs where we read growth-focused books. And then one of the big things that we do that's really amazing is we have 3 to 4 day retreats where we bring 20 women veterans and 10 of their children out for a weekend of healing and growth. And we always provide or reimburse for childcare. And we also always have a licensed therapist on call or present at all of our events.
Thank you for sharing, Maggie. And Dr. Jones, what services does your office provide women veterans year-round?
So my office here at the Mayor's Office of Veteran and Military Affairs, of course, we service all women, all men, it doesn't matter who you are. We're here to serve spouses. Of course, we get those calls all the time that my husband passed or my dad passed. I don't know what to do, where to go. And so we get those calls all the time. And then we will get those calls and say, hey, I'm the woman veteran with my children and I need food or that I'm homeless. So often we're left out of the conversation, women, but when we talk about women veterans, we have to talk about women veterans and their children, as Maggie alluded to for her retreats. She includes women veterans and their children, because more often than not, when you find a woman, she's going to have kids, and we, certainly don't want to leave her or her children out of the conversation.
And I want to wrap this up and thank both Dr. Jones from the City of Houston and Maggie Peterson with Camp Shield for being on the show with Veterans Voice.
Thank you for having us. And if you are a female veteran, please go by the Women's Clinic at the VA and sign the board and let us know how remarkable you are and let us know that you did serve in the armed forces. Thank you.
Thank you. If you'd like more information on any of the organizations and services you've seen on the program today, visit our website at hccs.edu/Veterans Voice. An audio version of this show is available on Apple Podcasts. Just search for the HCC TV Podcast Network and then hit the subscribe button. For everyone here at HCC TV, thank you for joining us on Veterans Voice.